Hi, this is Kollin. Welcome to another episode of my Campervan conversion journey. Uh, I just want to say before we get started, as a disclaimer, that a lot of the techniques that I use are experimental. I do quite a bit of research beforehand. However, what I don't recommend others trying unless you want to. But I like to just try and do things differently. So that's just who I am. But a lot of these things I won't know until probably later on down the road whether or not they work or not. So if you want, there are other videos out there that will show you like the correct way to do things. And I've watched probably all of them. And um, but I just like to do things differently. So what we're doing today is we're going to be setting up the subfloor or preparing the subfloor. And normally use battens for that, or a lot of people use battens for that. And I've chosen not to. One reason is I have a medium height roof, so I want to conserve as much space on the floor and on the ceiling as possible. Um, I just think that the more I build up on the floor and on the ceiling is just going to make it so that it's not longer possible for me to walk around freely standing up. So that's the main reason. All right. With that, let's get to it.
While I was doing the corrugated plastic, what I noticed was there was a lot of deformation, and I was concerned that once I put the plywood on, that it would bend and contort. So I went and measured this. It's a little bit, the high points are a little bit under half an inch. And so I bought this piece of plywood. It's just really cheap plywood, but it's a little bit under half an inch. I think it's like 5.5 millimeter it's called or something. And I plan to cut it out into pieces and just let them rest on top here. That'll give some additional support for the plywood sheets that I put over, so it won't cause all of that bending. Okay, so this is how it looks like. This was extremely tedious, and I'm not sure if what I'm doing is correct, but this is the route I decided to go with. So the next step is just to glue it all down. So after consulting with Dr. Google, I found out that metal and wood don't really play well together. So I'm using a glue gun. Hopefully that'll work. We'll see. Okay, so I used a glue gun to put these on, and some of them are pretty good and solid, but the thing about the glue gun is if you don't do it right away, it'll come off on you. So I'm gonna try for some of the really loose ones. I'm gonna put some construction adhesive. So hopefully that'll work better. So while I'm doing this, I figured this would be a good time to kind of explain why I'm doing any of this. So a few years before COVID, I had actually seen some videos of people living out of their vans. And my job, one of my jobs, required me not to live in my van, but to be in my van basically, all of the waking hours of my day. I would just be in this van. Now, because of my life at that time, things happened, and I ended up just living out of my van. Now, this was a Ford Transit Connect, so it's a very small one, small van. And the other thing about the van was that it was a work van, so it wasn't like there was really much I could do about it. But I did enjoy kind of, I was able to do a little bit with it. Like, I had a bed. It was just a sleeping bag and a pillow, but it was enough for me. And I ended up, what I would do was, my job required me to drive to locations, sometimes far away, like an hour away. So what I would do would be, I would find out the next day where I was going to be. And let's say it was going to be like an hour away from my house. So rather than, just giving it some weight. So rather than waiting till the next morning and then driving for an hour, what I would do was I would, after work that day, wherever I was, I would find out where I'm going the next day, and I would drive all the way to that city. Hopefully, sometimes it was nice. If it was like by a beach or something, then I just hang out at the beach for the whole day. I had paperwork, but it was all on computer. So I would just, hang out in my van, or sometimes I'll go to find a Starbucks or something. But basically, I would spend the day in places that would be really nice. Now, it wasn't the day, it was more like the afternoon, but still, depending on my schedule, sometimes I would have the whole day, because it wasn't like a 9 to 5. It was pretty much wherever they sent me was where I went. And some days I'd have one place to go to, Times I would have 4 places to go to. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Basically, I figured out that, the job gave me a lot of freedom to kind of just go wherever I wanted within reason. And so I took advantage of that. Because I was in a work van, I was essentially stealth camping. And I would just stealth camp wherever I happened to be working that next day. So I really kind of enjoyed that lifestyle. And it wasn't ideal by any means. I mean, I didn't have anything, really. It was still a work van, after all. But I felt the freedom, and I thought to myself, well, if one day I had the opportunity to get a van that I could fit out, I thought, that would be really nice. And I thought I could probably just live in that. So that was kind of the plan. But then life kind of happened. And now I don't really plan to live in this thing. But I still like going places, kind of like RVing. I like traveling. So I thought, well, I could still do it. I could still live in the van, but it would just be, for weekends. So I found this van, and it was a really good deal. So I snagged it up. Now I'm working on it. Now the other thing, so aside from my past, now we're talking about now. If any of you guys have been watching, and then some of you guys probably watched other videos, which is good. That's exactly what I did. And then you're probably wondering, well, what the heck is he doing? Why is he putting wood slabs all under his van? I haven't really seen that. And the reason why is because, well, first of all, I've watched a lot of videos before doing any of this. And so I feel like I've learned enough where I know how things are supposed to be done. And then I like to do things different. Just kind of not too crazy, but just give it kind of my own style. And that's kind of what I'm doing here with this whole wood planks everywhere. The idea with this is that I wanted to have a piece of 1-inch foam, and then I was going to sandwich it between 2 1/4-inch pieces of plywood, with the hopes that that would be enough strength to keep the foam kind of from deforming and all that bad stuff that you don't want. Now, again, I'm really just doing it because, well, for 2 reasons. I have a medium height roof, and that works for me and my family because we're not really that tall, but with the addition of insulation, a roof, any type of interior design that I want to do for the roof or the floor, and that medium roof suddenly becomes, that the roof really just starts getting really low on you really quick. And that's something that I noticed. So my idea was to sandwich a piece of foam, a 1-inch foam, between two pieces of 1/4-inch plywood. Once I got in the van and started doing work, so there's no framing. That's one thing you'll probably notice that I'm missing is the floor. There's a word for it. The ballast, I think the word is. Yeah, there's none of that. And again, the reasoning was I wanted to keep the height down. So I thought, I'll just put a piece of plywood down and my van should be able to support it. But as I was working, with the corrugated plastic, which worked out pretty well, I was walking around, and unfortunately, these dips in the van floor, they were just out of control. Like, there was just no way that my plywood was going to stay level with all these dips. But, so I decided to put down some of these little planks to kind of level out the van floor and still keep a nice airflow. But the problem with that was I tried to use a glue gun, and the glue gun just set way too fast. So a lot of these planks never got a chance to bond. And so they're just flopping around all over the place. I'm using some construction adhesive now, and hopefully that should do the trick. And these will stay where I want them to be, not just flopping around all over the place. So that takes me back to, why I'm doing this. I've had people ask me, why don't you just buy a pre-built van? Like, you could get one for really cheap and it's already done. You just can start enjoying it. And the reason why I would never do that is because I didn't get a van so that I can start traveling. I got the van because I wanted to do this. This was just an idea that I always thought, hey, this would be really cool. And as I'm watching people on YouTube just kind of doing it themselves, it really inspired me to kind of try, if I had a chance, try it myself. And now I have the chance. So I'm loving it. This is why I'm doing it. It's not about the end product. Doesn't mean like I'm not gonna make something nice. Like, I'm kind of a perfectionist, so anything that I do, I'm gonna try to do it to the best of my ability. But I don't really care so much about the end product. Um, I mean, of course I do. I want it to be nice, but it's not the reason why I do what I do. And I don't think it's the reason why anyone should do what they do. It's about the journey. That's what excites me. That's what I live for. So, part of that journey, part of life, really, is making mistakes. And I'm okay with that. Like, for example, using the glue gun. I thought it would work, and it turned out it didn't really work. But that's okay. I'm not going to get frustrated and ask myself, or tell myself, like, hey, that was a dumb idea. Like, maybe you don't know what you're doing. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. But is that something that should stop me? I don't think so. So I'm just enjoying the process. I'm at a point in my life where I don't need to live out of a van. There was a part where I did need to, but I'm not there now. But I still want that feeling of kind of just being off grid or stealth camping in the middle of a city. I still kind of miss that feeling. Wow, like none of these got the glue gun just did not work on like any of these. But I mean, I kind of knew that as I was doing it, but I was kind of stuck on the floor, and I wanted to move on to other stuff. I guess that's part of building a van is you want to get to the fun stuff, right? This is not the fun stuff, but this is very important. I think I should have got more. That's all right. We'll do what we can, and then whatever's left, we'll finish up another day. All right. Well, finally ran out of glue, so I think I'll let these sit and we'll see how it turns out.